Empower, support, love. That's true beauty.
Allowing God to use me to inspire others.
She is clothed with strength and dignity.
Welcome to Sister Sis. Hey, y'all. Did y'all miss us? Because we sure missed you. Look, follow us on our YouTube channel at Sistosis1988. And when you get there, please like and subscribe to the channel, as well as follow us on all social media platforms at Sistosis1988. Okay, so this segment, we wanted as entrepreneur women to give our insight and instructions and kind of give you a guideline on getting your business started, what you need to do, kind of giving you a map. I'm going to let my best friend over here, Calandra, kind of give that to you guys, and we're going to be calling this Low on the Biz. Miss Calandra.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get it.
Welcome back, guys. I know it's been a minute since we dropped this segment. Last segment, we talked about getting business started, and we gave off some different tips that we thought were important and that we thought we should share, that maybe some of the things that weren't shared with us when we first opened up our business. So we wanted to just kind of rewind back to that just slightly. There was one thing that we didn't mention there that's really, really, really important, and that's the importance of having a business plan, an actual business plan that's written out on paper. Having a business plan doesn't have to be your traditional business plan, and you don't have to get intimidated, necessarily by the business plan. Doesn't have to be anything that's all fancy or anything like that. Like with Sister Sis, I would say we don't actually have a document that is called like our business plan. However, we do meet every Thursday at 8 o'clock. You can find us on Google Meet, and we're there in our video meetings from 8 p.m. to what time, ladies?
3 hours later.
Sometimes midnight. Sometimes after midnight. But that's what you have to do.
Yeah. And during those meetings, what we're doing is we're discussing and we're talking about basically our business plan, and we're documenting and we're writing those things out. So what I would say is, like, Sister Sis, we don't have like your traditional business plan, but yet we do have a business plan. Like, we have our goals written down. We have some, and I'm going to go over that a little bit here more in detail in just a minute, but on the different things that you should have included within your business plan. But our business plan technically does not look like your traditional business plan, but yet we do have that business plan. It's important to schedule and set a time to meet. And it may sound funny. People think it's funny. Someone may call me and I'm busy and I'm working on something that has to do with one of my businesses. And I'll say, I'm in a meeting. In a meeting with who? I'm in a meeting with myself. So even if it's just yourself and you don't have partners, schedule that time to actually sit down and you think about and you brainstorm. Brainstorm and write out your different ideas, your different marketing tactics, whatever it may be that you're having a challenge within your business or moving past. Just write those things down. So business plan, it can be, some people argue that it needs to be more than one page. I would say that that's not necessarily so. Whatever, depending on your industry that you're in, and depending on where you're at in your level of business, is going to depend on how long or how short, your business plan is. You can find business plan templates actually online. You could just go to Google and you can just Google a business plan template out that you actually can use. But it's very, very strongly recommended. We would recommend that you guys have a business plan. Anything you guys want to add to that?
I would just say, like you kind of saying, like, have your targets and work toward exactly what you put on your paper. You'll be surprised. I mean, this and paper is going to be a part of it. It's an everyday thing. And you need to have on that paper exactly, okay, this is what I want to do by this time.
Yes.
Set a date.
You have to have that. And because what happens for me personally, if I'm not getting there, then I'm trying to figure out something's wrong. What am I doing wrong? For example, I'm training some agents for a specific position, and the mistake I've made, I went against that business plan and I allowed them to schedule their trainings with me. Well, what has happened? They get with me sometimes they don't.
Whenever they feel like it.
When they feel like it. So I kind of sent out an email, say, hey guys, this time is constraining, and I thought that I could give you guys the ball and tell when to get with me, but if I would have stuck with what I had in my business plan, everybody would be done on this date. Then I probably wouldn't be in this problem. But I shifted away from that business plan. use that business plan like a Bible. Whatever you put in there, that's what you need to, it's exactly what you need to do, and do your best not to restrain from it.
Yep, it's really just a way to keep you on track and keep you focused.
Really, really. And you go back. I was talking about celebrating something here a little bit ago. It was something that I successfully did by really earlier than the date I gave myself a target on. So I celebrated that and was like, you really can do it when you really stick to it. I can do
those
it.
milestones. Yeah, so it's important. Make sure you have the business plan. So we'll go out and we'll talk a little bit more about the different things that should be included, within your business plan. First thing is going to be your executive summary. The executive summary, it gives a summary of the full business plan. So if you want your business plan to be something that you have, like I say, written on paper that you could actually submit to someone. A lot of the times you use those business plans, just say if you were trying to get business financing and things like that. Some banks ask for them, some don't, but you want to be able to have that ready. So just having a one snapshot where you can hand a document over to someone, and it basically summarizes for them, your business structure. So you want to have that executive summary. The next thing is going to be your company description. So you want to have a short description of your company. So just be able to explain to someone that knows nothing about your business, exactly what your business does. It doesn't have to be anything that's lengthy. It can be a short, little brief, description, but you want to make sure that you're describing your company. The next thing is going to be your mission statement. So your mission statement should be basically your reason, your why, basically your why for your company, your goal for your company. You want to make sure you have that stated there in your mission statement. Another one is going to be your product and services. So you want to go into the details on your product and services within your business plan as well. Or even maybe you also have listed in your products and services. So maybe when you're first starting out, if you're a retail store, so maybe you're going to start out with clothing by this date, or you're going to start after clothing, you're going to work on accessories. So you can have your products and services even listed out like goals with the dates, like Jamie had mentioned as well. One of the main, most important things that you want to have within your business plan is going to be your marketing plan. Of course, this is how you're going to create, revenue. So you want to definitely make sure that you do some research, search your market, search your competitors, try to see what your competitors are doing. You want to always know what your competitors, are doing out there. And also that way, you know what to do. And then also the things that are things not to do. So you want to make sure that you really search the market and then come up with a good marketing plan, a marketing strategy, for yourself. Anything you guys maybe want to add to that before I move on?
No, I think that's perfect.
No? Okay. So we'll keep moving right along. The next thing is going to be your operation plan. This is also something that is helpful. I will admit, when I first started my business, I didn't have a business plan, in place. I was still new in business, and I didn't fully understand the importance behind having one. I would say the most beneficial thing by having a business plan that has come into play for me is having an operation plan. We have it at one of my offices. We have an SOP. So it's the standards of operation, basically. So it's actually a portion that's broken outside of my business plan that's actually utilized. So if I'm not at my office still needs to be able to run and to function just like I'm sitting there. So whether I'm there or whether I've traveled and I'm out the country or wherever I am, my business still needs to be able to run and be able to function. What if they can't reach me by phone? They still need to be able to have something tangible on hand that tells them the operation plan and what needs to be done and the steps that need to be taken. I think that is one of the most important reasons behind having an actual business plan. Anything you guys want to add?
No, I'm big on SOPs too. I'm always creating one. If I'm not in my computer typing one up, sometimes before I go to bed at night, I'm not a person that read before I go to bed, but I do take my tablet in my room and I'll come up with something that I feel like employees may need if they can't reach me. That's going to be something that you also do. It's going to be something because you'll have a plan in place. If something happens, your employees do it, but something was missing. You see what I'm saying? And then you can add that in. You're always going to be re-implementing those, changing those, updating those. Because what works now may not work 3 years from
that is so
today.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's a constant, as you see business, when you want to do this entrepreneur thing, it's tiresome, but it's doable. It's possible if you write it down and you have this plan that she's describing.
Something else I mentioned about SOPs, sad to say, but usually, of course, I'm the one that normally comes up with the actual system that we're going to use and the steps that need to be taken. But the SOP, that's why it's so important, because it may be years before I have to perform that task again. Yeah, I'm the one that wrote the plan, so you would think I would know the plan, but if I haven't done it in 5 years,
you forget it.
You do.
You forget it.
But it's written down. So then we can always go back to that. So if somebody steps in, we hire a new person, it's very vital and very important. Like I really, even above having it to present to someone for financial reasons, I think for operation purposes, it's one of the most important things that you must have.
And another reason why you're always going to be updating those is because laws change depending on what
and regulations
and that things change. You have to implement. You can't leave things outdated, because that probably can get you in trouble if something happens with the business. The first thing they're going to ask for is, well, where's the company policy, which SOP is labeled as a company policy. They're going to look at that and probably look at you and say, well, this is outdated. This would have worked back in 2019, but that's not working for 2022 because something changed.
And based off the industry, because actually the way we have our the SOP is actually separate from our policy. We do have it separate. And I want to say that because sometimes when people hear SOPs, it sounds intimidating. Because honestly, before I started to do that and grasp a good understanding of that, when you talk about SOP, it's like, oh my God, it sounded so daunting, to me.
Yeah, sure.
But it can be something as simple as 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 steps for that set process.
Yeah. Right.
So just like to those new people out there that are working on starting like their businesses, like a SOP, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be something as simple as step 1, step 2, step 3 to complete this task.
That's
an SOP.
Absolutely correct.
Yes, and you put a name on it, but you put it on paper. I know we keep talking about writing down and putting it on paper.
But let me say this.
But you got to get it out of here.
You got to write it down.
And this is what I'm going to say. What you do so that can be available is have it on a shared drive. So your employees, when they are working for you, they don't need to be leaving their desk to go to get some binder. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Like back in the day when I first started working, that's what you would, if you wanted to know somebody's policy, they'll tell you what binder was, and that binder be this thick. Well, now we have updated that as companies, and we now have everything what they call a shared drive.
Definitely.
You're going to build you a shared drive for your employees to go and view when they have a quick question. You're going to label it, you're going to title it, and then you're going to also keep up to date when there's an update to whatever. If you update something, it's going to send, you can make it to where you can send alerts and let the employees know that it has been updated and maybe this is something that they should review. Right?
Yes, right. Yeah. So as you see, operation plan, that's definitely important. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on. The next thing that you want to make sure you include in the business plan is going to be management organization. So you want to have that written down. So you want to basically like your chain of command. You want to have those things written down. Who's on what certain level, who should be contacted for this, who should be contacted for that. You want to make sure you have those things written down. The next thing is another important one as well is going to be your financial plan. So far as funding your business, you want to make sure that you've researched and figured out a way how you're going to be funding your business. You want to make sure that if you're going to need to get loans, make sure that your personal credit is in order, because you do have to sign as a personal guarantor when you're trying to work on getting those business loans like that. I'm not really a big fan of credit, as you guys probably have seen in previous segments, and I kind of structure my business basically the same way, but I do strongly believe in having a line of credit though for a business, because within the business it's a little bit different. My fear has always been, I think that's my biggest fear within business, is to have to come to an employee and tell an employee that you don't have their paycheck. That's not an option for me. So you may have secured, different business agreements with different customers. However, maybe they're scheduled to pay you on the 15th and your payday may happen to be on the 12th. So you want to make sure that you have a way to be able to get those funds to be able to get your employees paid, or whatever your other responsible debt is as well too within your business. So within business, that's probably the only place where I would say, like, usually I think that credit is somewhat slightly, important. But however, how I also kind of navigate that as well too, immediately, soon as I get that payment back, then I'm going to make sure that I immediately pay that back as well too. I may be charged for a cash advance, which usually is very minimal. However, they don't charge me any additional interest because I pay that back before that 30-day time frame. So you want to make sure that you have resources, to be able to fund your business and have a financial plan to be able to get there. I remember when I very first started my business, that's also something I think people should keep in mind as well too, is making sure that you don't get too far ahead of your business and start investing in your business more than what it is actually, worth. When I first started my business, I think I invested maybe about $500, maybe $1,000, honestly, at max. But I knew I wanted to choose something that wouldn't financially exhaust myself because I didn't want to have to go into debt personally to be able to fund my business. That was very important to me, that I did not mess with my personal finances by trying to get my business off the ground. So what did I do? I actually continued to work a 9-to-5 for a very, very, very long time. What a lot of people don't know, even up until here just recently, I was still working a 9-to-5. I was running $1 million corporation and still working a 9-to-5. And the reason why that I did that, because actually I'll go a little bit more in detail about that. I actually left my previous employer back in 2013, and I had landed a really huge contract, and actually had the contract for about 1.5 years before I even left at that time. But at any rate, I made the decision, and I had went ahead and I left from the current place that I was working at the time. And some things kind of took place, and some things happened actually with that contract that were kind of out of my control. And honestly, I got afraid. And so what I ended up doing is I went back to work, actually for the same company. I went back to work for the same company on a part-time basis because I was afraid that I wasn't going to, and I didn't want to have to let any of my employees go. So I left all of them. On staff with me, and I decided to go back just for security. So never make sure that you're humble enough and to go back to a 9-to-5, work your 9-to-5 as long as you have to work your 9-to-5. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So I went back and I worked there for I think that's another additional 9 years on a part-time basis. It was very tough. It was very difficult, but it was really worth that. It was worth it. In the end. Towards the last few years there, really, honestly, not even the last few years. If I would have just hung in there, honestly, it would have all worked out. But what I would advise to someone is to not jump the ship too soon. You really have to take your time and move as fast as your business is actually moving. So you have to make sure you take your time with that. I know I see different people that are on like Instagram, and especially since the pandemic, I hear a lot of people saying, they're leaving their 9-to-5, and they make it look so glorified. But you have to be careful with that, and you have to be realistic, about that as well at the same time. You don't want to jump ship, too fast. You want to make sure you take your time with that.
So you may not be in the same situation. You have no idea how that person may have been saving. You don't know the situation. So I see that a lot too. I quit my job. I made a decision to quit my job and did I don't know, this for whatever it is, whatever their
start baking or whatever
it was, and they just quit cold turkey and put all this faith in the job opportunity. But for me, I still work a full-time job, and so and sometimes I do a little bit of overtime. I'm not too good for it. I have to do it at this point. When the time comes for me, and I feel like, as she said, jump the ship, I feel like I can comfortably do so, I will. But I'm not in a hurry to do so. Right now, I have an understanding that I have to still work. I'm telling myself I have to still work. And that's okay. It's going to be some sacrifices. You're not going to get a lot of sleep. You're going to be tired, but it might be a decision that you have to make. Don't look at that and think that, oh, well, I'll just quit too. It may not work like that for you.
And
go ahead, Toy.
And just don't do too much too soon, because start out small and kind of work your way up. Like, don't go get the biggest office front, space. Don't get the most high tech supplies and equipment. And so just start off small, because you don't want to get in over your head. Because when you first start a business, it's you. Like, you're paying for everything.
Correct.
So you're not making a profit at the beginning. So you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, because then you're going to end up losing your business. But you still going to have that debt. Your business is gone, but you still got to pay back that debt. So just move slow, grow casually, and just try not to do too much too soon. Yes.
Right.
And you got so many other things when you have a business, depending on what type of business it is. There are insurances you're going to have to buy. You're going to have to pay your unemployment taxes, your federal taxes. Just think about it. That's why sometimes
insurance.
You're going to have to. Well, you don't get benefits. My employees don't get we offer benefits, but I'm talking about the taxes you pay for having employees work for you.
Right.
Yeah, those things. And then the insurance is that are required once you get certain type of businesses going.
Right.
If you are a personal care business, if you are a like example, trucking companies, one of the things I have to have for the authority is workman's comp. Things like that. You have to have those things. You got to include all of that in there, because you may end up having to do a little something out of your what you get from your job and put it over there for something, you know, that you may need. And if you have up and quit your job, where are you going to get that money from? Especially if your company hasn't started making money.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because in the beginning, it's
hard.
tough.
It's gonna kick your
tough
butt
to get your first customer. So you get your first customer, don't jump ship on your 9 to
Yeah,
5 just
no,
so you got your first
no,
customer.
no,
You
no.
can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. So make sure you guys don't do that. So we'll move on to and wrap up with the last thing there, as far as with the business plan. It's going to be just your conclusion. The conclusion is just going to be basically a summary of everything, again, that's within that business plan. So you're going to make sure you have a conclusion as well. So other than that, do you guys have anything else that we think we should leave with them?
No, you guys also remember, you can always message us. I know that it may be other questions, you know, that you guys may want to ask us. Please feel free to go on our website or go to any of our social media fronts and send us a question, and we will answer that for you on the upcoming episode. We'll respond to you right away, but we'll address it on the show.
Right.
That way we'll know it was something that maybe we missed that somebody really needed, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to encourage and inspire people to get out there and chase after what they want as far as owning a business. So
until next time,
there's strength in sisterhood,
And there's support in sisterhood.
Bye.
bye.